In many ways, life is a drifting from and a returning to ourselves. At any one stage, you can almost read it like a gauge. Where am I in this moment? Now, the year slipped past its halfway point and we find ourselves on the doorstep of this key moment before we launch into the next phase. But why is it key? Well, it's key because it's a natural checkpoint, a chance to see where we've drifted, what we've learned, and the small changes that can completely reset our course as we move forward. So today I want to share how breaking from my own routine showed me that these pauses can reset your course, ease the pressure of consistency, and bring you back to what feels creatively alive, even in a world dominated by screens and the tyranny of the schedules that we set upon ourselves. So for me, I've just returned from a break in August, carving an arc around the north of Scotland, visiting my family scattered across the UK, and spending time taking care of someone that I love very much who's been unwell. And on the one hand, I hadn't realized how much I needed this break or how much it would reconnect me to what I think of as the heart of living. And on the other, it punctured the rhythm I'd built in the first half of the year. Driving a 5,000 kilometer loop from Berlin and back left me no time to keep up with the weekly output I've been working so hard to upkeep before I left. So suddenly this consistency I built with the YouTube channel, my podcast, or my newsletter on Substack was totally gone. And at first it felt like I was letting myself down, like I'd become so attached to that modern mantra barked at us online, yapping consistency, consistency, consistency. And it felt like I was somehow drifting from myself. But the longer time went on, the more I could let go of these demands, which at the start felt like they were hunting me down. What first felt like excuses started morphing slowly into something else. And to my surprise, I found myself letting go of all the ways we're subconsciously radically programmed by the internet, namely the hustle culture madness, the Silicon Valley logic, and the endless demand to post. What I found in that space was the opposite of what I feared. I wasn't drifting further from myself. I was returning back to the center of me. As time went on, I gave myself over again to things that I'd ignored for too long, joining the dots of constellations while a little tipsy, plunging each day into a freezing loch, or feeling my mind unclench as I clambered up a rock face. At first, it all felt a little foreign, as if belonging to a parallel world to my over-digitalized urban existence. But slowly, I forgot all about social media, stopped checking metrics and confusing the idea of growth with internal growth. And at this point, I heard something in me I hadn't heard in quite a long time, this capacity in its rawest form to say yes to life, to affirm all things, to remember what primary contact with nature itself feels like. Now, I know what we do online matters in its own way, but it is not life itself. I realized I've been covering up something I'd forgotten or just couldn't hear, and it occurred to me that the very consistency that I'd worked so hard to cultivate earlier this year was also suffocating the voice under my voice, if you like. And that was hard to face, because rebuilding a creative life in my 40s, whether in music, YouTube, podcasting, or on Substack, I've been proud of how I'm doing. Yet with it, too much of my week has become about a schedule that, if I'm honest, feels imposed rather than chosen. And the cost has been space, not just for friends and family, but for myself too, for wandering, for letting go or letting realizations come in of their own accord if I only ever stop filling up every single neuron in my mind. And the paradox was this: what felt like being close to myself was really living under this tension. And that tension is the way the internet is built to make us feel always behind, always less, unless we keep up. But if keeping up only locks us tighter to screens or isolates us from people we love in the chase for the next creation, what are we really giving up? So I wanted to share this because my break reminded me, if you feel you've drifted from yourself, the answer may not be in doing more or exhausting yourself in another 18-hour shift, chasing something that's designed never to be caught up with. Rather, you may have to find it in exactly the opposite place to where all those voices online keep telling you to look. So the best I can give you guys who follow here isn't more output, breaking myself against some inhuman schedule. It's making sure I'm giving the best of myself. And that means giving myself over to life more. Now, I don't know yet where that leads, but I feel overflowing with a spark and an energy, even that I haven't felt for too long, at least in this primary manner. And it's that pull inside myself, which I believe to be in every single human being too, that I most want to share here on this channel. So if you're feeling out of kilter or far from yourself, please remember that living potential is always inside you. It can be hidden for a while, but it can never be defeated. It can never be destroyed, and it can never be taken away from you because it's yours alone. And as the Zen Buddhists say, there's a face in you that you had before you were born. And the question is, and this is the only question, are you willing to find it?